Hello, Seekers. I am so excited about what we're going to talk about tonight. It's about the psychic medium LYNNE Jackson. She is been certified by let me get this right, by the Forever Family Foundation, and they're a nonprofit science-based group that helps grieving families. And then she also participates as a certified research medium with the Windbridge Institute for Applied Research of Human Potential. So she's got a lot of credentials, and Spirit first put her in front of me when last week, when I love how Spirit can do this and just use the digital stuff and just feed me what I need to hear exactly when I need to hear it. It's so cool. And so Jay Shetty's podcast called On Purpose, he interviewed her, and I was just, as soon as it was over, I downloaded her books to listen to, Signs and, let's see, The Light Between Us. And so I just finished Signs, and that's kind of what we'll be talking about today. And also, I'll probably throw in some things she said in the podcast as well. But my soul has just expanded so much from what I've learned from what she has put out there. It is, and since I've started this channel, and I've really been trusting with what spirit brings to me, and I use that term team spirit to mean all our, like, our angels and our guides and our loved ones, and higher consciousness, all of that that's just not in a 3D body. And I got that from Rebecca Rosen in some of her work. She's also a psychic medium, and I really liked that term about everything. Laura Lynn, in her book, she uses team of light, which is also really nice. I like that term, but it's our cheerleading team, and it's the team that gives us nudges, and it's the team that if we learn how to have a dialogue with them and learn to recognize the symbols that they're giving us, it really enriches your life. Because I've just been doing it for a few days, and I kind of started when I got downloaded for this channel. Like, this is one of the clairs she talks about, and where you just like have this knowing all of a sudden, and it was like I knew I needed to make this channel and do longer things here and just short clips on podcasts, because I come across so many amazing great things and I just want to share them. And so when I got downloaded with that, I just had to trust it. And so I made a bank account doing business as the Spiritual Librarian 153. I filed the right papers. I'm making business cards. I went ahead and started the channel, and also did some social media, the Facebook and Instagram. So I'm having a good time, and I'm following their lead. And I didn't even realize that I was using a lot of the principles that Laura Lynn um, lays out in her book. So it's just really validating that what I've been experiencing the last couple of weeks has, that she validates for me in this book. So it's perfect timing, no coincidences. Synchronicities is another way that your team spirit can communicate with you, is when everything just lines up, and it's just like, oh, I love it when that happens. It's so exciting. It's like magic. And so that is your team talking to you and lining things up for you. They can bring people into your life. They can line jobs up, and they can tell you what you always have free will, but they can give their opinion. Like, there's one story in the book, and this gal, she was really wanted to start doing yoga, teaching yoga, and develop her own juice brand. And but she had a really great job. Well, then corporate things happened, and she lost her job. And so then she started looking for another job, and she had these really, really great offers. But every time she was talking to the headhunter about it, this light started smoking, or she was having electrical issues, and it wasn't even plugged in. And so I think it was her grandma. So she knew this happened a couple of different times. So she knew her grandma was saying, don't take that job, do what your heart wants you to do, um, and do the juices and the yoga. So the book is just full of these really fun, well, they're not necessarily fun, but these really inspiring stories about how when you set up a dialogue and set up a language, like with your loved ones that have passed, you can tell them, like, semi-purple elephants. That was one of the examples in there. And purple elephants, not just any elephants, purple elephants. And then they drove by this cafe, and the name of it was the Purple Elephant. So you start asking, you can ask for really specific things. There's, you know, there's I forget which term she uses, but it's just, the kind of ones we all expect: rainbows, butterflies, dragonflies, that sort of thing. And that's great. They can use those too until you develop your own specific language. So in the book, she talks about how she asks for some symbols for spirit to kind of like get an idea. Is she like going the right way? Is this, is she doing the right thing? And then different symbols for different loved ones who have passed. And like, so yesterday as I was going to work, and I just read or listened to this part of the book about developing, talking to your team spirit and developing this language. And so since the my name is the spiritual librarian 153, so I'm going to work, and I'm like, okay, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and doing this channel, let me see a 153. So all night I was checking groceries. So there's lots of numbers, but there never was a 153. And I was just kind of like, I was a little disappointed. And, but then I got in the car to go home, and my mileage to empty was 153. So yes. And I mean, it is so exhilarating when that happens. It's just, I mean, it's like the best high I've ever had, because you're actually like, doing what you plan to do, and you're getting validation, and you can almost hear them cheering. One of the other clairs I wanted to talk about was like, that she talks about is clairaudience. That's when you hear things. And so the first time as an adult that I heard something was my husband and I were coming back from Costa Rica, and that was back when you had travel agents book your flights for you. And she had booked us a connecting flight with a 2-hour layover, when we really could have just stayed on the same plane after the drop off and gotten home earlier. So he was not happy. And the plane was empty because everybody else was on the good flight. And so I moved several rows away across the aisle. And I'm just sitting there looking out the window, and I hear this voice say, Valerie, what do you see? I turned around. It was loud. I thought somebody was talking to me. It wasn't Mark's voice. So I turned around to look, and there is nobody, there is nobody within rows and rows of me. So I turn back and I look in the window. And this voice goes, Valerie, what do you see? I'm like, all right, I'll just play along, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I see clouds that look like elephants, and I, see the waves, and the voice says, Valerie, getting kind of firm, And he's like, look ahead. What do you see? And then I saw the most amazing sky I've ever seen. The clouds, there were these thunderheads building, and they were purple, and it was outlined in gold because the sun was going down. And then there were rays coming out of those thunderheads, shining onto the ocean. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. So I told that voice all the things I just said, describing it. And he got silent for a little bit, and then we kept flying west into the sunset where the thunderheads were growing. And I hear this voice, and it says, Valerie, what do you see? And so I look out the window, and it's just gray and like foggy. And I mean, we're in the middle of a cloud. It was, pretty depressing looking. And so I explained that. And the voice says, now what have you learned? And I learned that when we're in the middle of stuff, it can look like this real dreary, just gray, depressing place. But with enough perspective, you're actually inside the most beautiful thing ever. So that was the first time I heard that voice, and that's been decades and decades ago, and that lesson's really stuck with me. And then a couple of years ago, I was driving home up the canyon. It's a dangerous road, and I was going 70 miles an hour, the speed limit, and I'm getting ready to go into the canyon, and I hear that voice, and it's very distinct from your own. You'll know it's very different. It's not your voice. And it said, slow down now. So I did. I mean, that voice has saved me so many times, and I just trust it. I hear it, and I don't even question it. So I slowed down, and just a little ways up was a family of elk standing in the middle of the road that I would have hit it going 70 miles an hour. So, yeah, listen to those voices. And then I didn't think that I've ever had where you have the clair where you see. And I don't know if this is an example or not, but last week I was pulling out of that canyon, that dangerous, on a blind curve to come down back into the valley, and I did not, there was a truck in front of me, and so when he pulled out, I thought that the road was clear, but his truck was blocking this car, so when he pulled out and there was a gap, I'd already pulled out, and there was a car just right there going 60 miles an hour. And I mean, she was so close I could see her eyelashes. And I came out of my body, and I watched those cars crash. And then I saw this UPS truck that was coming down the canyon on that road and into that blind curve. And I saw him hit the cars. And then two of us were dead. And one of them was me. And I don't know whether I actually screamed or if it was just in my head, but I just know I said, no. And I opened my eyes, and I'm driving, and I'm driving down the canyon road, and I haven't been hit. There wasn't any screech marks with the brakes. She didn't honk at me. It was like, oh my gosh, I think the multiverse just split because I saw my death. And I'm really grateful that I've been increasing my communication with Team Spirit, because I mean, I've been trying to listen to them more, but it really felt like they listened to me last week when they heard me say no, and they just put me on a different trajectory. There is no way that I didn't get hit by that car. It was a miracle. I've had several of them in my life, and we'll probably get into them, but not tonight. But anyway, I don't know if that's clear seeing, but it sounds like, when she sees things, she talks about different things being on her screen. So I think she actually I'm not sure that qualified, but she does a great job of giving examples about all these different kind of clairs in her book. And it's just story after story after story of people who develop this language with their loved ones, and how much fun they have when they get signals. Like one family, I think it was their mother, and they called her the Queen of Hearts. And so this Queen of Hearts cards would just show up in the most unlikely places. So anyway, I am excited to do this with my loved ones that's passed, and start a communication. One of my soul contract daughters passed away a couple of years ago, and she's so enthusiastic, and just a real joy. So I do feel her presence when the Kansas City Chiefs are playing, because she was an avid fan and a very vocal one. So I hear her and kind of feel her energy jumping around when the Chiefs are on. But I'm looking forward to develop an even um, more of a language. When my lights flicker, I say hello. I don't know who's there, but if I can figure out a language, then I'll know who's doing the lights. So, um, and like she says, when you learn this language, um, it can help you go from despair and take you out of despair, and to realize that, death is a doorway, it's not an ending. And it makes sense even when you think about the science behind it, right? Because we are just energy. When they break those atoms down and look into the protons and neutrons and electrons, it's just energy. There's nothing solid there. So all this stuff that we think is solid, there's nothing solid making it. It's just that vibration pattern makes it appear to be solid. But if you keep breaking it down, it's just energy and light. So everything is a light beam, everything, because everything's made of atoms. And atoms have photons and light and energy. So, something happens with that energy that fills this body. Because like they say, that saying, where we're not humans having a spiritual experience. We're a spiritual soul in a human body. I just butchered that, but you guys get the idea. Um, we're human. That's gonna bother me now. I'll have to figure that out. But anyway, you know, we just we are souls first, and we're just happen to be inhabiting a 3D body. Our souls exist outside of this avatar that we're in. And we know that something happens with that energy, because Einstein's E equals mc squared. So energy and mass, energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes form. So it makes sense that our loved ones, and she says even our pets are usually the first ones to greet us when we go to the other side. I hope so. I have one of my dogs he's pretty close to transitioning. So this book brought a lot of comfort to me as well about our pets on the other side, and how they stick around. And I think that that's true, because I swear I feel my dogs get on my bed, and the bed shakes and everything, and there's no dog on my bed. It just feels like them. So I think it feels like my first dog um, came, the way he used to get on bed and just kind of twirl around and then settle in. So I feel my dogs come and sit on the bed. It's all very exciting. I can't wait to start her next book, The Light Between Us. And if there's some significant different things in that book than what I'm covering here, I'll do another one on her things. But I will definitely be watching more podcasts and things with her. She has a website. It's her name, LauraLynneJackson.com. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited about starting that second book. Let me make sure I've covered everything I wanted to cover. Let's see. Oh, so the universe and your loved ones, they can use a lot of different things to communicate to you. So like, even if you said, oh, purple elephants, They can also use songs that remind you of them, and those songs play just when you need them, or bumper stickers, or books, you know, kind of falling off of a shelf, you know, this is what you need to read, or, you know, you get an inclination to go a different way than you normally do, only come find out there was a wreck there. That's why if I'm running late, I don't worry about it. I mean, I'm an on-time person. I'm a Capricorn. Yeah, I am almost always on time. But if I have a little delay, I don't, I've learned not to stress about it, because invariably I'll be going down the highway and there'll be a wreck. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I had left 10 minutes ago like I'd wanted, then I would have been right smack in the middle of that. So I just trust it. Just trust it and go with it, and know that they are there. And the more you listen, and be sure and say thank you. It's nice to get thank you always. Everybody likes to hear thank you, you know, and gratitude is such a huge part of having a fulfilling life, because it means you're focusing on the positive things instead of negative things. And it changes the chemicals in your body to be grateful, and it changes your perspective, and you can see the gold lining around the thunderclouds. So it's super important. I think gratitude in the morning and gratitude in the evening, I mean, it's something you don't have to even be fancy. I mean, it does hold a lot of energy when you write things down. But if you don't have time for that, just, you know, as you're getting up in the morning and getting out of bed and getting ready to take a shower, just, you know, I mean, list off 5 things that you're grateful for. It is amazing how it will change the trajectory of your day. I am a believer. I started doing that a year ago, and oh my gosh, after 6 months, I mean, my customers are like, oh, are you having a good day? And I'm like, yeah, I always have a good day. And they're like, well, how can you say that? I'm like, because it's a choice. I choose to see the gold lining around the thunderclouds. So anyway, enough on that. Um, she says that to look for the signposts, and to know that they're, you know, that they're, if you keep getting green lights, you know, then it's, you know, keep following that, right? Keep going with the flow. But if things keep getting thrown in your pathway, you know, there's a point where you should just trust it, and, you know, maybe take a detour the other way, because they can see, your team spirit can see a lot larger perspective than we can in these 3D bodies. Our vision's pretty limited down here. And I want to say that since I've been listening to her book the last 3 or 4 days, and I do recommend this audiobook instead of reading it. I mean, if you have access and you like audiobooks, but she reads it, the author reads it. And so again, you get extra depth because you have the emotion. She's telling her stories. And so I think there's just so much more energy conveyed when you listen to the author read their book. It's, yeah, I love this audiobook. She has a great voice for doing that as well. But since I have been listening to her book, I have been not only actively looking for signs and asking for them. I work with the public in the evening. It's my evening job. I work with the public. And so I've been asking to be able to be that connector, or that person that is there to give someone else a message, or to be the one that gives them that sign from their loved ones. Like there's a story about Raggedy Ann and Andy were the signs, and she's like, nobody even knows who that is. How can that? They're never going to do that. And then somebody just within a day said something about Raggedy Ann and Andy, and so, I mean, they figure it out, right? So if I would like to be a conduit to be able to give that, but the people that, you know, I mean, I just think that that's cool. And she talks about people that incarnate to be connectors and to help people meet, you know, and help be like a facilitator for other people's team spirits. And I think that that's really fun. So it definitely makes my job with the public, it adds an extra dimension to it, and it actually makes it a whole lot of fun because I'm like, oh, and I listen, I try to hear and see. I'm practicing to try to hear and see if I can start hearing either my team spirit to tell me or someone else's team spirit about what. I think I had a little one today. Like there was a lady there and her energy was just a little, I mean, it was kind of gray and stuff. And I heard in my head, tell her how nice she looks today. So I did that and it made her smile. So, um, anyway, it's really a lot of fun being a conduit. So you can do it not only for yourself, but you can help other people get that really excited time when they've connected with their loved one. And I just wanted to let you know that is my relationship with my team spirit has really increased just in the couple of weeks since um, I took, I just did what they said and started this YouTube channel. It's so crazy. I don't know anything about social media. And so, but just doing it on faith, and it's just been a lot of fun. But I know that whatever gets in my feed on YouTube for the podcast from my subscriptions, I know a lot of times there'll be a theme, of course, because there's algorithms. But I pay a lot of attention because I know that there's messages in there so that I can pass them along. So that if it's like LYNNE Jackson always says, you don't need a medium, you can do it yourself. We all have these abilities, but you just have to recognize that you have them and start paying attention. And then like when you do get like that 777 or whatever sign it is, I mean, it's really fun to tell someone else too, and it just kind of makes that link stronger, and then they know that and anyway, it's really cool. Just do it. Do it, do it, do it. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope that you'll go out there and listen to our book, or at least listen to some podcast. Search her, LYNNE Jackson, and start taking her skill set that she's given you. She's given you lots of tools to learn how to communicate with your non-3D family members and your team spirit and angels and all of that. So thanks, seekers, and I will see you next time.